Now, for everyone who is interested, please, in the converters, please write to sales@simplanova.com, and our team will connect with you regarding the trials, regarding the pricing. We will not be showing any pricing information today. We will be sending that out individually to anyone who is interested in trying this tool, as well as for the trial. Anyone who writes to sales@simplanova.com, we will issue a free trial license, and we will propose having an individual presentation of converting your report examples and designing your report examples together with Simplanova. So without any further ado, I would like to give word to Igne, the product manager at Simplanova and the mastermind behind these tools. She will be introducing you to what we have today.
Hi everyone, it's nice to see so many people in our presentation on Upgrade tools today. So first of all, let us go through the agenda. So we will talk about the importance of Upgrade tools and why RDLC is important, and then I'll show demos of our tools that we are proposing, and we'll sum up everything about the pricing and the tool packages that we are proposing. So are you still struggling with NAV upgrades? From our experience of more than 150 upgrade projects with many different partners, we have seen that it's quite a hard part for everyone, and having in mind that still there are out there 70% of solutions that NAV end users are running are still on NAV 2008, 2009 or older, which is classic NAV. So if we have these high numbers, how are we going to start utilizing all the nice features that Microsoft is building in? How are we going to move to extensions? How are we going to utilize the cloud or Dynamics 365? We definitely need to upgrade our customers and move to the new platform and start and make the life easier for us. And you might ask, how are we going to do that? Because upgrades require a lot of specific knowledge, first of all. Most of the developers are not doing upgrades on a daily basis. So that's why it's hard to maintain this knowledge. It costs a lot of effort. Upgrades are massive in size, especially moving from versions of 2009 or older. It takes a long time, and it's really hard to prove the value to customers when you have to pay half the price of the initial implementation just for the upgrade. So what are the alternatives then? So one of the alternatives is to re-implement everything. On one hand, it's quite nice because then you clean up the code, you review all the processes, you remove any features that are not used by your customers. But then again, the customer has to pay for re-implementing everything. You have to lose a lot of functionality this way. You have to go through the testing and functional consulting all over again. And what is the third alternative? So the third alternative is to lose the competition to other systems than NAV. There are lots of aspiring ERPs out there which run on the cloud, which are pretty cheap, robust, and it's easy for customers to go and adopt them instead. And we definitely don't want that to happen as a community, because we think that NAV is the product to go, right? So how are we going to make upgrade projects be easier to sell and easier to deliver? So what is actually taking up half of the price of an upgrade project? So the answer is classic report upgrades. From our experience, they usually take half of the project scope. So why is it so difficult to upgrade reports? So first of all, it requires lots of knowledge building reports from scratch is hard enough, but redeveloping them in RDLC from classic versions takes lots of effort, lots of time, needs lots of advanced reporting skills. And that is not something that developers love to do because it's a routinous, boring task. But then what's the problem? So is the RDLC a problem? No, we don't think that RDLC is to blame because it's a much more powerful engine. It's part of many Microsoft's products like Dynamics NAV, Dynamics 365, Dynamics AX. It's part of .NET, SQL Server, and they have been investing in it for many years, and it has way more features than what classic reports had. Its performance is much better. And it's being maintained much better as well. It doesn't require any extra fees for your customers to run the reports, and no third-party software besides NAV to be installed on the environment to run the reports. So what's the solution? How can we make upgrades cheaper? So what we are proposing for you today is Simplanova's Report Converter, which is a tool which converts your classic reports automatically to RDLC format. It creates normal NAV objects which cannot be distinguished from what a developer would produce. There's no yearly license fees for running the reports because they are normal NAV objects which can be transferred to any database, to any customer environment. The tool is automatic, so it's easy to learn for developers. The workflow is very simple, and there is no need for advanced reporting skills. And of course, it's much cheaper for customers to adopt and provides good value, so you can do your upgrades proposing a much more affordable price. So without further going into detail, I will show you what these tools look like. So first of all, these tools come in NAV in the role-tailored client. As you can see on my screen, Simplanova Tools package comes in the menu as Classic Converter. And if I go to Tasks and choose Objects, it's just a normal screen inside of my target upgrade database. And in this dialog, what I need to do is upload the reports in text format. So first of all, as the first step, we will go to the classic version of NAV. I've got some reports prepared for this demo, which I want to convert. So I will select all of them. And this is very important. I also need to export all the tables together with the reports. So I will select them as well. And now I will set NAV to show marked only objects. So as you can see, I've got all of my reports and all the tables marked. So the tables are important because of the references and the naming we use for creating dataset items in the target database. So I will export everything to text. And then when I will be uploading this file that I'm currently generating to this tool, it will automatically provide me with the complexity estimation. So what is complexity? So complexity is the estimate of your report complexity in points. So very simple reports like lists would be 1 point. More complex reports like sales invoice, for instance, would be 2 points. and the most complicated reports will be 4 points. Then when I convert, those points will be subtracted from my license. So the way licensing works is you buy a package of these points from Simplanova. So if I go to my license information, you can see that I've currently got 38 points available in my license. And whenever I do some conversion or build a report that I want to create, it subtracts points from my license. And I think we're about to have our report text file produced. So now I can upload that from my demo folder. And now the way all these tools work, when I'm uploading files, they send everything to Simplanova servers where they get evaluated. So as you can see, the complexity came through on chart of accounts and vendor labels as 1 point, and on customer statement as well as sales invoice, it came back as 2, and for really complicated reports, it would come back as 4. So now I will check mark all of these reports that I want to convert. If I didn't want to convert some of them for any particular reasons, I could just leave them out, and I'll click on convert. It says that it will subtract 6 points from my license, and now I click OK. Again, in NAV, it's just the front end of these tools, so the powerful engine that generates those reports actually lies at Simplanova servers, where all of these objects are being sent. And then NAV objects get generated and automatically imported into the database and compiled afterwards. And just one moment and it will be finished converting. Perfect. I'll just do one more bit. Before I move forward. And now, just in a moment, we'll move to the development environment to see what the tool produced. And as you can see at the bottom of the screen, there's also a log which shows me some messages about these reports. So now, this first one, the first ones have been normally imported and compiled, but vendor label says that transheader, transfooter conversion is not yet supported, but we are planning to support it in the future. And now, if I move to the development environment, I should be able to locate these 4 reports. As you can see, 3 of them have already been compiled, but sales invoice is not compiling. So why is that? So first of all, as I said, the tool is fully automatic, but in some particular scenarios where there's some code that has changed significantly, or the table structure has changed significantly by Microsoft, you have to finish off the conversion manually. So in this particular case, as you can see, it doesn't compile because table 359 does not exist. So this is because the dimensions have been remodeled completely by Microsoft. And as you may know, they have been changed to dimension sets instead. So we have to finish off this manually. So I'll show you, it's really easy to do. I'll just change this to dimension set entry, temporary tables, and I will also add dimension management code unit. Now let's try and compile this again. So that's the code that's not working at the moment. We'll get dimension set into this table from dimension set ID, and we won't need this code any longer. Also, I can see that one method has an extra parameter now. So I'll add this parameter, and there's a problem with dimensions here as well. I'll just do the same thing, get dimension set. From sales invoice line dimension set ID, and these 3 lines are no longer needed. And now I can see that my report is compiling. So that's it for manual work. So now if I move back to NAV, we can actually run these reports from this menu. If I click on the Run button, and I see the chart of accounts, that's what it looks like. But we can also have a look at the original version from the Classic client. So as you can see, it's almost identical. And you've got everything ranging from the top section with the page numbers, going to the different sections, indentation. Now we can run the customer statement as well. And see what this looks like. As you can see, it's pretty much the same as well. Having in mind that it's a Cronus database, even the data is very similar. Then if I move to the vendor labels, I think that the page setup was a bit different, and we can see that it still looks the same. And even the sales invoice, let's have a look at that. Looks perfect. But VAT specification at the bottom, everything works completely the same. So that's not the only tool that we've got for you today. So this tool, again, as I mentioned, the licensing works per complexity. As you can see, it's been set to zeros because we have already converted these reports, and we wouldn't charge twice for the exact same report. What this tool also does, it helps you convert data ports to XML ports. So I will go back to my Classic client, and let's say I'll take the contact export data port from the Classic version of NAV. And again, for references, I'll export the contact table together with it. Don't want the reports, so I'll select these two objects, export them to demo data ports text file, and now I can do the same thing. I will upload this to NAV. As you can see, the data port complexity is 1, and it's always 1, regardless of how many fields or tables you would be exporting or importing with your data ports. We don't charge any different number of points per complexity. So I'll set it to convert and click convert. And now after the conversion, I can already run this XML port and export data from it. So as you could see, these tools provide really easy workflow, and it's simple to convert multiple reports without much of a hassle. Like a sales invoice, from our experience, from what we've heard from customers, might take even a half day or a whole day to convert. And this tool does it in just minutes with little manual rework. So upgrade tools are not the only thing that we are going to show you today. So another tricky part of NAV is creating those RDLC reports from scratch. So it's very tricky. You have to learn Visual Studio. You have to know a lot of workarounds. And that's why we have created Simplanova Report Designer, and we have released it last year, and many of our attendees are already using this tool, and we have currently released version number 2, and it provides a really nice workflow in creating NAV reports inside of the Rolltail client. It also generates RDLC reports but not like normal NAV objects, which can be transferred to any databases. You don't have to pay extra for running the reports because they are normal NAV objects. And if you ever decide not to use this tool anymore, you would still keep all your code that you have created over years with this tool. And the approach of using it is very simple and intuitive, and without further ado, let me show you what this looks like. So let's go back to NAV, and all of these tools come in the same package. So if I go to Simplanova Tools Report Designer and show my report list, I will create a new object. And let's say this will be demo October 31. So I won't show you any really complicated design with this tool, but I will show you some more advanced features that are really useful, and I'll show you how easy it is to do with this tool. So let me start by creating the data set. I will add the tables. So let's do a simple customer balance report, so which will list all the customers and their individual balances to start off. So first of all, I'll just add the customer table. Into the data set, I will add a few fields like number, name, and it's really easy to select multiple fields and add them at once. All, as you can see, the data set names are generated automatically, so you don't have to. And if I don't know the exact name, like I want the balance in local currency, so I will use an asterisk in between the names, and it will locate just the field that I need. Now, if I want to create captions for these, I'll select all of them, click Add Caption, and it's already added the caption. Maybe I want to convert the caption to a label because I don't want the LCY part, so I'll just switch it to label, and this will be balance label. So far, so good. So now, to start doing the layout part, I will start off with the header with my captions. So I'll select the table that I want with the caption fields, first of all. Then I'll move down to the layout section and click Add Layout. What it does, it creates a section inside of my layout. So what does that remind? So that is actually based on the same concept as NAV Page Designer. So instead of taking and pulling visual parts when you were using forms in Pages, you create a workflow in a tree-like structure. And you also reuse the same nice concepts that you had in classic reporting. So the sections can be of different types, like header sections, body sections, footer sections, and if it needs to be at the top of the screen or bottom of the page, you have report header and report footer sections. So I know that it's a header section, and now I also want to see what it looks like. So I'll click on the preview. This is my add-in which shows me what the final result will look like on the right of the screen. Now I will select the balance label and set it to bold as well, because all the other ones are in bold. And now if I go to the top, I will start building my body section. I will select the table and the fields and click Add Layout again. Now this will be my body section, and I'll create my footer section the same way. Set it to footer, and in the footer section I will leave two text boxes empty as placeholders, as you can see in this layout on the right. And I want my customer balance to be summed up to show the grand total of all customer balances. So I'll set the operation type to sum. And now I think that not all of the information will fit in, so I'll just select all my text boxes, set the width to 3 centimeters instead, and click Apply. As you can see, this will apply the same 3 centimeters width to all of my text boxes. If I click Yes, it looks nice, just the way I want it to be. And I will add a wording for total on this text box. So far so good. I'll make these two bold as well. And now to start off, we can just have a look at what this report generates by building it. Now this report is sent to Simplanova servers. It's generated, imported back and compiled, and everything went through successfully, so I can even run it and show you what the initial result looks like. So as you can see, it's really quick to create this simple list, but we can tweak it to add some more advanced features. So what if we add a condition whenever a customer's balance stands out, like for instance it's higher than 1,000, why not make this customer on this report be shown in red, so we know that the balance is above 1,000 and that they need to pay their bills. So let's, in order to do that, let's go to the global section, or F9. So the globals is exactly the same thing that you would expect what you've got in normal NAV development environment. So you can create variables. Let's say it will be customer color, a text variable, and now if I go to functions and go to customer on after get record trigger, I can write my code if balance LCY is above 1,000, then the customer color should be red, else it can be white. I will save this code, and now I can move back to my designer, and I will add yet another line in the data set. This time this will be an expression, and I can set this expression to customer color. And if I go to the body section running on customer data item, I can bind the background color to this property, to the customer color, like this. So as you can see, it shows expression now, but if I wanted a static color, I could just choose from this list. Now if I try to rebuild this, and if I run it again, as you can see, all the balances above 1,000 are colored in red. So let's do another trick. Let's implement group headers and group footers. Let's say we want to group by country. Why not? Let's group the customers by country. So in order to do that, first of all, I need to sort everything by country region code. So I'll go to the table view of this data item and select the sorting key as country region code. Perfect. And now I also want to expose the country region code in the data set, and perhaps I want to print the country region name rather than the code. So I'll add another data item based on country region table. I will link it using the code field. To the country region field. Perfect. And the last thing is I want to export name from this data item. And now we can start building the new section. So this section will be right here, based again on customer. The type will be header. And what I wanted to print is the country name. Again, I'm using asterisks to navigate quicker. And I want to do the same at the bottom. I will create a footer section. This footer section will have two things. So it will print country name, and it will print the customer bounds. And this will be set to sum again, because I want to see totals per country. And now I want to make these wider. I'll set everything to 3 centimeters again, and I will set the font weight to bold. Apply it by using Ctrl-Q. And now one other bit is as I said, I want them to be group headers and group footers. So I will set the group fields. So the group fields will be set to customer, country, region code. And same here. Now let's try rebuilding this. Okay, looks good. So some of these customers don't have a country set, but the other ones are grouped, like Austrian customers, Belgian customers, Canadian, Swiss, Czech customers. All looks good. So another thing that I would want to do is print each country on a separate page. So let's set the page break on the group footer as between. Same on the group header. And now if I rebuild everything, and reprint, all different countries end up on different pages. So I've noticed now that the headers are missing for the number, name, and balance field. So let's go to the top section, to the header section again, and set repeat on new page check mark. So they would be repeated on each page. Now if I rebuild it again, and print it, you can see that the headers are printed on each page. So as you can see, it's very easy to implement sums and dynamic properties with this tool. You can write CL code inside of it. You can create your own variables. You can see the preview on the right that it automatically generates all the workarounds. It also has Request Page Designer. Pretty much most of the stuff that you can find using normal Visual Studio to develop reports. And if we were to go to the development environment, we could also see what the result looks like. of both the converted reports or this report that we have just developed. So as you can see, it's a normal report that is hardly distinguishable from any other report developed manually. And if we were to go to Report Builder or Visual Studio, it's just a normal report with the grouping generated automatically and some of the workarounds added in automatically, so you don't have to learn them. So all of these tools come in a single package, and the licensing works the same for the report builder. So when you build a report using it, the first time you build it, it subtracts 1 point from your license. And a single license applies for all of these tools. We are releasing monthly updates with new features and bug fixes. We provide free support for these tools. And the pricing model, as you could see, is very simple. It's based on points, point packages that you can buy and sell to your customers. And we are really proud of these tools, and if you want to learn more about them, contact sales@simplanova.com, and we encourage you to come to NAV Tech Days at Antwerp later this month, and you can come to our stand and I can show you more advanced features of these tools. Also, you can contact sales@Simplanova to get individual demos and to try licenses to try these tools out yourself.